I wanted to speak about the Kirk Franklin documentary, Father's Day. I did not watch it yet. Things like that, I have to take time to watch those because I'm emotional by nature. Things, even happy and sometimes sad things, will make me emotional. But it made me realize after doing some research, because before he even before it was broadcast, the documentary, he spoke briefly about it. And I'm upset with women, particularly moms in general. We need to do better. It takes two people to create a child. Underneath no circumstances should women be lying to these children about who their fathers are. You need to be honest. If you slept around, you did some questionable things in your past, you don't want to tell the child that while they're young, fine. When they turn 18, it's your duty to be honest. I have a teenage son. He was created and I barely knew his father. I told him that at age 13. And the only reason I told him that at age 13 because my son is was very mature at his age, and he was already researching stuff he had no business researching. So he would ask me questions. Did I want to tell him that, hey, your mom was being fast and I got pregnant with you? No. But I explained to him in a age appropriate manner. Keep in mind, we live in a world where unfortunately these children will grow up faster than they need to, thanks to peer pressure and social media. So I was honest with him in that aspect. And then I also went out of my way to pay for a DNA test when I was able to track down the family members. And now he knows who his biological father is. Again, as a woman, I'm going to hold other women accountable because it paints us. Keep in mind, as single mothers, we already are being looked at as when we're raising these children, they will become a statistic in the society. We already have that on our plates. And now, although Kirk Franklin's mom ended up being in a relationship with another man, the fact that that man went into his grave thinking that he's Kirk's father, that's very sad. And that's another reason why I'm glad I didn't watch it, because stuff like that will make me even more upset with females and my own mother. So it's like, because again, that resonates with me, because even my paternity of who my father is that question. So right now I'm not in the mental state to watch that, but I'm just speaking from the research that I did and also what Kirk Franklin already said. But we as women need to do better. Your children or child need to know who their father is. If you don't know, then that's fine. But that whole secrecy stuff is a no. There are certain things you could take to your grave. Children need to know who their parents are. Point blank, period. Whether you are adopted, kinship adoption, open closed adoption, when they become a certain age, they need to know. This whole finding out who your relatives are and whatnot at 40, 50 years old, no, I don't like it, because now you spend your teen years, your 20s and your 30s having unresolved issues when the secrecy could have stopped. Again, there's certain stuff that should be withheld, and there is certain stuff that should not be, like who a child belongs to should not be that information should not be withheld from them. I don't care what the reasoning is. Sorry. If the other parent was an abuser, the child needs to know that at a age where they can understand. Because now you have adults that have unresolved trauma. They don't know why, because one parent wasn't in their life, and no one wants to be honest with them or give them answers to their questions. My children don't have to go through that, because whether their fathers decide they don't want to be in their life, they know who he is. Women, stop. Please stop. You need to be held accountable. And then you have some folks that are like, well, the mom raised him. They did the best that they could, and some of these parents, they did not raise these children. You have grandparents raising these children, so please stop it there. Yes, you may have gave the child life, but you don't deserve to be called a parent because you gave the bare minimum. So that's another thing where me and God, like, kind of, where I'm with God back and forth with, because God, you want me to honor my mother and father, but then when you have parents that do stuff like this, it's like, and don't get me wrong, I love my parents, and yes, we make mistakes, but when you have children, as a parent, you have to be honest with them with certain stuff, not with everything, but who their parents are, they have to know. Don't think that they won't know because they're being raised by somebody else, or you're raising them as a single mother. You cannot fill that empty void, especially if it's a male child. They need that male figure. We cannot raise a boy child to be a man. You can raise a girl child, and even with that, it's going to be an issue too, because now when your daughter decides to date, she doesn't know what to look for in a male because she doesn't have her father in her life. So again, single moms, if you have to raise your child, yes, but you cannot raise children adequately. You cannot. You need a village, a healthy and positive male village. Notice I said male, because yes, there are females such as grandmas and aunts that will help you, but males possess self-control, some of them. They can teach the children discipline. They can teach your children how to carry themselves. See, I can teach my daughter how to carry herself as a female. I can't teach her how men think. I can't teach her how a male is supposed to treat her. I can tell her, oh, he can't put his hands on you. You're not supposed to put your hands on a male. But I can tell her that she should have expectations of how a man should treat her. But her daddy has to go in depth with that. I can't do that. So although I digressed a little bit, I digress because I'm seeing that as I grew older, and I was one of those moms that was like afraid to talk with men, or I was like, I didn't want to hear anything from men. But as you grow older and you get blessed with positive male figures, and they're now educating me, now I could educate others. And Kirk Franklin's story is one of many others, because that's not the first video I've seen where someone was lied to about their father or who they are. That's not the first time, and unfortunately it won't be the last. I'm glad that it has people talking and that people are getting emotional, because that's real life. And I'm glad that Kirk Franklin was open and welcoming us into that part of his life, because again, he's successful in gospel music, but he also had issues. So that goes to show you, when people think, oh, what you don't know won't hurt you, yeah, no. So again, I'm hoping that women do better after that documentary, because that Father's Day, for me, I took it a certain way for the simple fact that I have a son and I don't want him to ever think that I kept him away from his father or knowing the truth before it's too late. And I don't think anybody should do that. Again, we know that there's certain parents that are not safe to be around children, but the child deserves to know that. You don't have to go in depth. I'm not telling females to bash the other parent. Don't do that at all. But what I'm saying is the child has a right to know who their parents are, and as time go on, why that parent is not in their life or what happened. But keeping fathers away from their children, that needs to be stopped. Please stop doing that, because it only hurts the child. And now when the child finds out the truth, let me tell you something, the truth comes out, as you could see in the Father's Day documentary. It could take one, maybe years to come out, but the truth will come out. And now the child is going to ask you, well, what happened? Why you didn't let me? So now you have to find an answer and explanation when you could have just been honest from the get-go. So that's why certain secrets don't need to be a secret, because now you have now you have to figure out what answers to come up with when that secret comes out, and it's going to come out when you're not prepared. So now you're going to be looking dumbfounded when all you had to do was just be honest with your child from the get-go. They may get upset, yes, but they're less likely to be angry when they don't have to find out years later. Sometimes those secrecies affect these adults when they're entering these marriages, because now they're, let's just say they come from a home where they're in a two-parent home, but one of the parents are not their father, and they have issues with the other parent. So now they meet a spouse. They don't know how to be a spouse because they have unresolved trauma in their life, and then they end up having children. So now you don't have a relationship with your mom or dad. So now you're trying to raise your child to the best of you know how with your unresolved traumas, and then you're having issues with your children that you had issues with your parents. To avoid all that, people need to just be honest and have discussions, and also seek therapy, because therapy works wonders. People are against therapy. I don't know why, but those people have a degree. They are licensed to sit down and talk with you without judging you. Please seek therapy. It helps. That's what the community needs right now, especially in these days and time. People need to sit down with a therapist, because you have people walking around with unresolved trauma. And therapy is expensive, but now there are even apps where you could get a therapist at a low cost. So the resources are out there, but the whole secrecy and keeping things bottled inside, stop doing that. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help the people around you. It doesn't help society, because as you can see, there are people walking around here with weapons, angry, suffer from severe mental illness, all because people are afraid to talk. People are afraid to communicate. And that's what that is fear. When all of this could have been addressed during childhood. Thank you for listening.